The most productive time in my career, it didn't happen by chance. It happened after I restructured how I work with tasks, and I did so after reading this one specific book. Since we're close to the New Year's, many people are setting goals for the new year. Why not maximize the chances of achieving those goals by setting a good structure for us to actually execute and deliver on those goals? The book Getting Things Done by David Allen outlines strategies for how to organize and batch up and work with tasks to get the most out of your time. I highly recommend it. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to read it. But a note here with that is getting things done. It will help you be more productive, as in executing on more tasks. But unless those tasks are the right thing to work on, you're not going to work towards your goals. So keep in mind that prioritizing time for your goals is important regardless of how productive you are. So another book that I recommend is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. The two books have two similarities, and there's a part of it where you're working with your environment or the amount of tasks and trying to just go through everything that you have. Sort of like a spring cleaning. So with Marie Kondo, you take each item that you have in your house and you sort of decide if this is an item that it's worth keeping, with the intent of decluttering, reducing the amount of items that you waste time on, or like that you have in your life. So you only have things in your life that bring you joy. That's the whole concept of it. So earlier this year, I was feeling overwhelmed because I had so many different tasks and I had a lot of different commitments to in all different directions, and I started feeling that I can't really keep track of everything. So I wanted to do a David Allen thing where I got things restructured, but being inspired from the Marie Kondo decluttering, I figured why not declutter my brain. So I created this workshop where you sort of go through everything that you have going on so that you can prioritize and figure out, are these tasks helping me achieve the different goals? Are they prioritized? Should I still waste mental energy on keeping these tasks in my head, so to speak? Cognitive load theory, it tells us that we can only keep a limited amount of things in our head. And I'm no exception. If I get overwhelmed, things sort of get dropped because they're sort of being pushed out on the other side of my brain, or they've been deprioritized for some reason, and I haven't even realized it myself because there's too much stuff going on. The process isn't conscious, heavily influenced by your environment. That's why so many bugs get fixed, not because they are the highest priority bugs, but it's because there's one user who shouts the loudest, but it might only affect him or no users at all. And yet that makes it at the top of the pile just because someone's being loud enough. So when there's too much storage going on in your brain, it's hard to keep track of what's going on. And your brain will start to try to reduce the load that it has. And so it's sort of like trying to figure out how to reduce the amount of space that all these tasks take in our memory. And it does this through a lot of different things. Like all of a sudden it will reprioritize tasks unconsciously. So one way it does this is that it will make the task you heard something about most recently, that will be the most important task because someone just told you about it. And it's so much easier for the brain to pick that up than to keep this list of active things that you should work on in your head. Another way that things can be reprioritized then is if you've had a reprimand or someone is angry at you because this task has not been done, then your brain will try to minimize your pain, and that all of a sudden that task becomes the most important one because, well, you're taking a mental beating, or hopefully not a physical one. Another way is that it will prioritize the easiest task. And all of a sudden, we're doing the easiest task instead of the most important one. Or another example or way of twisting that is that it's not the easiest task, but it will rephrase the task into a simpler version and all of a sudden we're solving the wrong problem because we just read the text in a hurry, or we just, oh wait, I can do it this way, but we're not really solving the initial problem because our mind has unconsciously changed the task that we're working on. And last but not least is falling back on habits. So we're going to do tasks or prioritize tasks that we usually do because, I always get a cup of coffee in the morning and all of a sudden you forgot to run to the bus in time, or whatever it could be. So I hope you can see that this means that your brain is capable of sort of cheating you or like lying to you and like reorganizing. Even though you have a really structured plan, once you start working, if there's too much going on in your brain at the same time, your mind will sort of twist the task that you have on your to-do list or whatever it is that's keeping your mind occupied. And this just means that the brain is not a really good way to store things. The brain should be working on the things that are active to you right now. It shouldn't be working on like keeping an active log of things that you should do next, because then you're reducing the amount of effort you can put into the task at hand, or you just being present for that matter. So for me, separating the time that I work on reflection and the time that I do planning and the time that I do execution, having those as individually different tasks that I do allows me to sort of come up, look at the playing field, figure out, okay, what's the strategic way to move forward. And then when I'm in execution mode, I can feel confident that I'm working on a set of items that are going according to the order that I last thought out when I had time to take a breather, think clearly, and organize. Whether it's New Year's or not, it's really, really important for you to know your goals, because otherwise you're just going to do activities and work on things that aren't really beneficial for you or for your work or for your relationships. And you really want to use your energy and invest it in the right areas in your life. So if you're watching this video, you probably already have like goals and dreams, if you will. And right now, it's out of scope of this video to just like help you plan and figure that out. But it's really important that you have these goals, because they are what you should be prioritizing after or around, right? To make sure that you're actually developing your career the way you want, developing the piece of software the way you want to, or you're achieving the sales that you want. So there's this quote by a French author, and it's, "A dream without a plan, it's just a wish." And I think that's good. So having a goal and planning for it makes things more tangible, and you can actually achieve things instead of just hoping that one day everything will work out. Knowing these goals is what sort of helps you weigh one task against the other. Is this achieving the goal that we're striving for right now at work? If not, then maybe this isn't the task that I should be working on right now. So coming into this spring cleaning concept then, both David Allen and Marie Kondo have this concept where you gather everything in. You create a big pile of things that you need to do and take care of, or things that you have in your house that you want to declutter. And we're going to do something similar here, but instead of doing actual items, we're going to take things that are in our head that we're thinking about, that we are dreaming about, we're tasks that we need to do, and we're just going to get everything into our productivity system and like get things on paper, get it out of our heads so we can look at it, weigh it against our goals, and figure out, all right, cool, are we going to do this or not? So doing this will require a lot of energy. One, getting everything out it can be really cathartic and really nice. But if we're going through them and deciding on things to do or like prioritizing things, we're going to use a lot of willpower. And we're going to run out of willpower eventually if we use all of it. And so this process can be tiring, but long term, having cleared off the mental clutter in your head is hopefully a good way for us to be more focused and have more energy going forward. So remember, if you're a manager, but even if you're a team member, you can delegate tasks. So if you're a team member and you don't have anyone under you, you can still ask other team members who might be better suited to solve tasks, or maybe they have more capacity than you, or are more interested in the actual problem. Who knows? You can always ask your team for help. And they can always say no, but at least then you can have that as an option as well in like your decluttering process. Okay, so let's start by getting it all out there. Let's make sure that we gather up everything we can do. So one thing that I really liked about Marie Kondo's approach of spring cleaning, or like tidying up, is that you have a checklist of different sections in your house to go through. And similarly, I created this checklist that is available on my website. If you're subscribed to my newsletter, you can get a free version of this list of things to go through mentally to just sort of cathartically get everything out of your head. So please subscribe. There's a worksheet there that you can work through and help you get gather up all the different areas in your life that you have commitments to. It could be to your kids' school, it could be to your team, it could be to your land hockey team, or maybe your friends wants you to help them paint their house. Whatever it can be, all of it just needs to get out of it. So sometimes it helps, if you can't verbalize it, or if you can take a picture of a thing instead, just take a picture of it and go on, because you're going to have a lot of things, and just a screenshot maybe, you're going to have a lot of things that we're going to go through in this next process. Hopefully now we gather up everything that we have in our brains, and we can look at it because they're in front of us on a piece of paper, or on a computer, in an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe it's on Post-it notes, whatever you feel like works for you, right? What we're going to do now is we're going to triage it. So triage is a French term that was invented under horrible circumstances of World War I, where there were so many wounded soldiers that the field doctors, they couldn't get to everyone. So they had to prioritize. They had to make a quick decision and decide, all right, this is just a broken leg, he will survive, this one I can actually help and prevent from dying, so I need to focus on the people that I can actually help. Oh, horrible story. But we're sort of doing the same thing with bugs in software development, for example. And some people call it grooming, and I've heard that we shouldn't be using that word for backlog grooming. So I'm going to use the word triage. The idea is that we're going to take each and every item. If it's a Post-it, hold a Post-it, and then you just go through this process to see. So the first question we should ask ourselves, is this something we should do? So in the worksheet available on my website, there's a workflow. Basically, it's quite simple. So first, when we pick it up, we look at it, is this something we should do now? If not, then we can let go of it and delete it. And the really important thing is you should mentally let go of it. And letting go of something, if it's a commitment to another person, then you should contact that person and inform them that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't show up to your rehearsal at this point because or whatever. And sometimes that can be difficult, but if you're letting go of a commitment, the right thing is to inform the other person that you're not focusing on that. But if you decide that, oh, I need to do this, then you should look at the item and figure out, is this an actionable item? For example, if you want to have a sports car, is it actionable for me to buy a sports car? Not at all. So this is more of a dream. I can start planning how to get enough money to buy a sports car, but at the present moment in my life, this task is something that I would just say, oh, it's not for now. I'm going to delete this from my mind and let go and continue on. And therefore I will be lighter going forward. So there are a few things you can do if a task is not actionable. You can delete it. You can try to rephrase it into a plan that is actionable. You can move it to some sort of wish list that you want to do in the future. You can store it as a reference of things that you like and enjoy or that you want to do. Or you can break it into actionable tasks that you actually can work on. And then they go back in the pile because you should only be looking at actionable tasks. All right. If we're now holding a Post-it, for example, I'm going to use that as an example. If we're holding a Post-it that is something that we should do, that is actionable, then we should ask ourselves, can I do this in 2 minutes? If I can do this in 2 minutes, it shouldn't hit any system, because you're going to pay a process price of putting something in a system, because that item will start showing up in every iteration, every time you look at your to-do list, every time it's going to weigh you down. If it's only 2 minutes within a month, though, you've saved those 2 minutes by just doing the task immediately and not putting it in to-do list. So what we have now is a task that we should do that is actionable, that takes longer than 2 minutes. Then we should really consider, okay, do I need to do this, or can someone else do it? Can I ask my wife for help? Can I ask a coworker for help? Can I hire someone to do this? And if the answer is yes, and you can afford it as well, and you should try to delegate that task so that you can focus your time and energy on the tasks that are specifically for you, that only you can do, or you as a person really shines, right? All right, if you can't delegate it, then we're going to put it in our productivity system in a way that we can plan for its execution. And we will either batch this so that we can do a lot of similar tasks at a specific point, or we should put calendar entries into our calendar and to make sure, this is reserved time to figure out, to solve this problem or solve this task or do this commitment. And if we don't want to put it in our calendar, then again, should we really do it? Because clearly we're not willing to prioritize it enough to put it in our calendars. Remember, the goal of this entire thing is to reduce the amount of stuff you have in your head. You can have them in a productivity system, you can have them as a reference point or something that you should do later, but it shouldn't be in your active top of mind. That should be reserved for your relationships, your work, your family, and your present moment. All right, so to conclude, we all have too much going on at some times, especially for us ambitious people who've listened to me talk to this point in the video. Acknowledging this and making sure that we put time into reflection and planning is a really healthy coping mechanism that you can use to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed and have too much stuff in your brain. And remember, it will also make sure that the tasks that you are doing are actually the right tasks. So I hope that this mental spring cleaning process can help you have a productive new year coming into the new year. Thank you so much. Bye.